we unfold this situation. But I do want to pan to the south, too, because the storms down in northeast Nebraska are strong. Again, these will continue to encounter this hot, humid air. And so, therefore, again, the threats of these storms will continue. Jay?
Yeah, we talk about the heavy rain threat. A lot of times when you have a lot of lightning, a lot of cloud to ground lightning, you get a lot of rain. And we're certainly, as Brian was talking about, that's one of the reasons we look at the lightning. In addition to the threat, of course, being hit by a lightning strike, we also have the potential for very heavy rainfall where you get a lot of lightning going on at one time. And there's certainly a lot of cells going on down in Nebraska, and they're all moving to the northeast. Again, that is where we do have the tornado watch. Those cells, as expected, moving up out of Nebraska, now coming into the southeastern corner of South Dakota and right around the Sioux Falls area. And let's go back to that cell we're watching down near Parker. That's got some structure to it.
Yep, that's your wall cloud. So this is the area that, a little broad rotation within that. Again, it's a strong storm, but it's kind of an environment right now. It's just kind of holding its own because other ones have popped up in the vicinity of it. So again, that's just something we're monitoring on that live camera in Parker. As radar coverage continues, Jay, we want to go back. Of course, we have that tornado warning still in effect for the Lesterville area. Our Beersford radar shows a pretty intense cell there. Again, it's a radar indicated tornado. So at this point in the afternoon, this is the first one of the day or the afternoon that is producing more significant rotation. And again, that storm is moving to the north at 30 miles per hour. So with that in mind, again, that brings up Menno. You folks would be in the path of that storm. In fact, I'll do this here just quickly from the center point of that storm. Again, with that trajectory in mind, it does bring up the latest on Storm Tracker, Menno there at about 3:03. So if you are in Menno, please be in your tornado shelter as that storm has some rotation on it and is moving your direction. Okay. And it's Jay, as we point out the rest of this here, I'm just kind of gathering some new information here. Looks like Parker, that storm, by the way, is intensifying a little more on the hail side. I noticed that here just in the last scan of the Beersford radar. So again, be alert for possible warnings here in the Sioux Falls area shortly, as every scan, see the purple now showing up around Monroe and Parker right there in the middle of your screen. You can certainly see that at the present moment. I would also probably say around Renner, there's a little bit of hail trying to form up in that area. Not severe yet, but again, every sweep of the radar, we collect a little more information about these storm cells as they are popping up this afternoon. And remember, Tornado Watch is in effect until 9 p.m. tonight. So we've got a ways to go. I do expect a lot of this will affect the Sioux Falls area well before 9 o'clock. And obviously, the farther north you live, toward Marshall and Brookings, and even for Watertown and Sisseton downstream, you folks are probably going to be dealing with more severe weather elements a little later into the evening and a possible expansion of that watch box as time goes on here. Jay?
All right, let's take a look one more time at what's going on KELOLAND Live Doppler. What we're looking at is some areas of primarily rain, but a tornado watch is posted for Sioux Falls and southeastern KELOLAND through the evening hours. Right now, we have no warnings in effect, but we do have some areas, some pockets of heavy rainfall, including we've had some around the Sioux Falls area. That trend is going to continue. Here's a look at KELOLAND Live Doppler. All the activity is to the east of the James River Valley. Right now, as I said, no warnings, but look at those areas in red. That's where we've seen some pretty significant rainfall. Here's I-90, so it's mostly north of I-90. We have seen some other cells come up out of Nebraska. Could be a little stronger in northwest Iowa. We'll have an update from the Storm Center in just a minute. KELOLAND News starts now. Dakota continues in southwest Minnesota. In fact, we just had a tornado touchdown in Jeffers, Minnesota, which is in Cottonwood County to the northeast of the Worthington area. That's where the severe weather is right now. Overnight tonight, things will be but then redeveloping out to the west. Our lows will be in the 50s to the low 60s. Then tomorrow it's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. 90 in Sioux Falls, 85 Aberdeen, 80 in Pierre, only 64 in Rapid City. That'll lead to more thunderstorms tomorrow, and they'll be especially strong east of the James River. We'll talk about that and have your weekend forecast in just a bit. KELOLAND News starts now.
Live from KELOLAND Media Group, KELOLAND News at 6. What's next for the Parker School District after voters turned down a $5 million bond issue?
It's a week all about thanking nurses, especially as they've continued to protect the community during the pandemic.
And it's a special delivery for mail carriers this weekend. How you can help them stamp out hunger. That's coming up.
Good evening. Strong storms have been making their way across southeastern KELOLAND the last few hours now.
And they are bringing with them hail and strong winds, which have knocked down several power lines. For the latest track on the storms, let's check in with our chief meteorologist, Jay Trobec.
All right, Don, the winds strongest south of the Sioux Falls area. That's where we did have some wind gusts causing some power outages. Also over northwest Iowa and now in southwest Minnesota. Sioux Falls, we saw the thunderstorms come through a couple different times, had at least a quarter of an inch of rainfall. Temperature dropped from 82 earlier to 67 right now with a north wind at 21. We are about done. We'll see what showers we have moving off to the northeast during the evening hour. Tornado watch continues on the Minnesota side of the border and in northwest Iowa. And see those flashing red boxes. We have a couple of tornado warnings east of the Worthington area. One of them north of Windham right now, another over toward Jackson, Minnesota. The one up near Windham, a confirmed tornado in that area. Those cells again moving away to the northeast, getting out of the KELOLAND region. There you see where the activity is. Sioux Falls in the southeast, we just have some rain showers, and those things will probably be ending within an hour or so as a whole system lifts to the northeast. The strongest storms definitely in southwest Minnesota, and there they will be during the evening hours. Temperatures right now, the 60s and 70s in the east. South central South Dakota still in the 80s. That's because there's lots of sunshine there. Overnight tonight, thunderstorms winding down from southwest to northeast as they move into Minnesota. Then we'll see another round of development, mainly north of Rapid City later on tonight. And then tomorrow, it's going to be hot, it's going to be windy, and that sets the stage for an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms with all forms of severe weather possible late in the day tomorrow. Hail, strong winds and tornadoes all possible. We'll have another roundup of the storms in southwest Minnesota, and we'll tell you about your weekend. It looks more pleasant. We'll have that for you in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Jay.
Toward the Windham area, but as we put this a little bit forward in time, you'll notice once we started to really get into that air mass has been primed for activity right around 5:30 north of Dundee, north and east. That was where we had our first report of a confirmed tornado that was moving up to the north and east. Eventually, we also had confirmed reports in the Stoughton area, as well as near Jeffers, of a confirmed tornado that had been moving to the northeast at 50 to 55 miles per hour. Another tornado warning popping up on the north end of that line that had been going into northwestern Cottonwood County as well. But also to the south, we have been keeping an eye on another tornado warned storm with radar indicated rotation. This was down toward Jackson and Osceola County along with Dickinson County. This has also been moving to the north and east at about 45 to 55 miles per hour. New severe thunderstorm warnings also coming up for southeastern parts of Osceola County. This line, as we zoom out a little bit more, continuing to race east by northeast at 45 to 55 miles per hour, while areas to the west along the I-29 corridor finally starting to quiet down.
And also along that line, right over Lake Park right there, just reported of zero visibility due to torrential rain. And the torrential rain has been an issue in parts of KELOLAND during the day today, earlier in southwest Minnesota. Tornado watch has been canceled for Sioux Falls and the South Dakota side of the border. It continues in southwest Minnesota, northwest Iowa through the evening hours. Hail also a possibility in those areas. This is what it looked like earlier in downtown Sioux Falls. We had a couple different shots of rain come through Sioux Falls. Some pretty heavy rainfall at times, also some pretty angry clouds. South of Sioux Falls, we had some wind gusts knock down some power lines. Those wind gusts came in along with the thunderstorms that did come through Sioux Falls, though we didn't see the strong winds like they saw elsewhere. Right now, this is what it looks like in downtown Sioux Falls. We're kind of seeing the back edge of the storm system. 66 degrees north wind at 18 miles per hour. Here's what's coming for tomorrow. It's going to be partly cloudy with a very strong south wind near 90 Sioux Falls and southeastern KELOLAND. The 80s in northeastern South Dakota. Only the 60s out to the west. We have that clash of the air masses going on again. Severe thunderstorms likely tomorrow, especially east of the James River, and that does include Sioux Falls and I-29. Friday, it's going to be quieter. Mostly sunny. 70s in the east, the mid-60s in the west. And then the weekend looks fairly quiet as well. Dry, maybe a little bit breezy, not as warm. but near room temperature. Low 70s here in eastern KELOLAND, the mid 70s out to the west. Here's the highs we had today. Made it to 82 in Sioux Falls, 90 in Worthington, where they just had a wind gust of 60 miles an hour, 92 degrees in Spencer, Iowa. Not as warm north and west, but we did have those thunderstorms. Fire up there. You see the cloud cover right there along I-29. Lots of sunshine in the central part of South Dakota. That's why it's still quite warm in the south central part of the state. Here's where those thunderstorms are. They're rolling off to the east. As far as the Sioux Falls area is concerned, we still do have some rain showers over us, but you can see they're kind of ending as the storms move off to the northeast, heading off into Minnesota and Iowa. All right, let's take a look at the latest futurecast. Forecast models say this: during the evening hours, we'll see those thunderstorms continue to move to the northeast, getting out of South Dakota into Minnesota by 10 o'clock tonight. But then we're watching for maybe a little bit more development up near the Pierre and Aberdeen areas. We could see some of those storms refire. But tomorrow what we're going to see is with the hot, humid conditions. See the area in orange everywhere east of the James River, an enhanced risk of severe weather. That's a 3 on the 1 to 5 scale of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. So all forms of severe weather possible again tomorrow.